Hey everybody, I'm still sick, so you're getting another pre-recorded video. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today, if you haven't read the thing already, we're going to be talking about my top favorite fantasy tropes. I think I managed to find 10 that I actually really enjoyed. These are in no particular order. Someone said somewhere that if you have a favorite, or if you have favorites on a consistent basis, that makes you a psychopath or a sociopath or something like that. So I'm not a sociopath. There we are. Oh, my butt. So, we have number one, which is The Reluctant Hero. And this honestly should probably be in my top 5. I really enjoy people who just don't want to be there. I really enjoy Bilbo Baggins, at least his beginning, because, dude just wanted to be left alone. I kind of want to just be left alone. But here we are. And he gets dragged on this amazing adventure, that we all know and love. Same thing with a lot of other reluctant heroes. They know what's right. They know what they want, and sometimes those things clash. I just enjoy that it automatically just makes them more complex. They aren't very flat. They're not this paragon of good or evil or anything like that. They have wants and desires, but the world is not so forgiving as to give you all the things that you want. Number 2 is religion, gods, myths, especially if there's going to be a new religion versus an old religion and they're sort of melding together. A great example of this is in Game of Thrones, where we have the old gods that the Starks worship, and then the Light of the Seven, or the Church of the Seven. They serve the same purposes, but they don't really mesh all in the same sort of way. And there's possibly more validation for the older religion with the children and the trees and whatnot. I also think that religion plays a huge part in our everyday lives, even though we don't necessarily believe all in the same religions. Whether it's the fact that we have New Year's around the world on pretty much the same day, or that we all pretty much have Christmas off, or the fact that some of us dress a certain way, or have our hair a certain way, or eat certain things, or don't eat certain things, or practice fasting. The ritual of religion just really intrigues me. Number 3 is something that I think that most people enjoy about fantasy, but that is magic. And magic has to be, for me, very limited. I don't like it when everybody has magic. It just sort of doesn't make it special anymore. I also like it when it's very difficult to do magic, or there are consequences to doing magic, which makes it not easy to do all the time, or not something that you would want to do all the time. A good example of this is actually a guilty pleasure of mine, which is the Covenant. The Covenant? I think it's the Covenant, in which these magical boys, they have sort of wavy, nebulous magic. It's not very well defined, but every time they use their magic, it becomes a little bit more addicting until it ultimately kills them. So even though they're teenage boys and they definitely abuse it a little bit more than they probably should, there is a consequence for it, and so you don't want to expend it all that much. I want to also say, I hate wands. I like magic, but I don't like wands. The thing just feels juvenile for some reason, and I don't know why. I know that it doesn't have to be that way, but more often than not, it is that way. Trust me, I love Harry Potter. It's wonderful, and the whole wand thing was great. I just don't like wands, okay? 4 is the quiet character / the know-it-all / the wise wizard. There are many different ways that you can describe this character, but it's usually not the person who is foremost in the group and, is the action-y hero. He or she or they will do all the research, or just have the knowledge inherently, or just try to keep the group together because they don't want everybody fighting. There's something very quiet but very valuable about these characters that we don't necessarily celebrate all the time. And this is actually a little bit outside of just fantasy. It's just usually fantasy, there is that character that's quiet in the back and knows it all. Number 5 is haunted places, particularly haunted forests and haunted houses. I really like these. It sort of feeds into my love of the monster in the house trope in horror movies, where things are very trapped, whether that's the protagonist and their group of people, or it's the antagonist and that's their dwelling. There's history with old haunted places and, you know, the things that live in it, and the fear and the just the overall creepy atmosphere really does it for me. Number 6 is the anti-hero / anti-villain. I like characters that end up switching sides, like either way. Even though I might be like, I was rooting for you, why did you do such a thing? I really enjoy the fact that just the act of switching sides and having that sort of doubt makes the character inherently more complex. It's not the most complex thing in the world, but having their views challenged, having their beliefs and all those things that they've been taught, that's very valuable to teach people. You know, we don't actually see a lot of it, especially in fantasy where everything is very black and white. There's the good and then there's the evil, and there's the good but they don't really care, and the bad but they don't really care. But inherently there's not really a big crossing over of sides. So when you have a sort of gray-toned character who is maybe a little bit of a badass or does certain things that are really evil but does them in the name of good, or does really good things, quote unquote good, but does it in the name of evil, those are really kind of interesting characters to me, and they're not something that you see very often, so they're precious gems. Number 7, it sort of goes in with the religion and gods and whatever, but specifically I like world-specific myths. So it's not just the things that we know and love, so like myths about fairies, or, you know, the myths and legends of the Greek and Roman pantheon. It's like, okay, these are the gods of the world and these are the creatures of the world, and these are the stories that are associated with those specific gods and creatures. Like, I find the way that we have to construct myth also very interesting. And almost every society in the world, in our history that will be in the future, will always have those myths and symbols constructed for whatever reason, for whatever purpose. So having a world without those, especially a fantasy world where it's going to be a very different looking and different feeling world than ours, kind of strikes me as flat. Number 8 is found families. I really like found families, just generally. It doesn't necessarily have to be in fantasy. I think that they just tend to show up more in fantasy and sci-fi than other genres necessarily. It's that saying that the blood of the brotherhood is stronger than the water of the womb. 100% I'm on board with that. Number 9 is intelligent creatures / cryptids / mythical things. I don't like it when dragons are dumb, because I think that they would have been very intelligent and have their own wills and possibly even speak. Phoenixes are very much the same way. I like it when they're not just this beast, mindless thing that's, you know, out in the woods killing people or whatever. There's something that feels very old god-like, if you want to put it that way, about magical creatures that are as intelligent or possibly more so than the humans that they interact with. And finally, number 10 is the professional. And I say it's the professional because it sort of doesn't matter what their profession is. Perhaps the story centers around a hunter, and this, you know, your protagonist is sort of a novice, and they have to go find the professional hunter who knows literally everything and can hunt in the middle of the night with his freaking eyes closed or something. And we have this really competent character sort of bringing up your protagonist. It also could be that this professional is the wizard, or is possibly the tech geek who knows everything and can hack into anything and yada yada. But whatever this professional is, they're usually a pretty interesting character, whether it's the fact that they're neurotic and really can't function in society or are like the smooth talker and can pick up anyone in a bar. So those are my top 10 favorite fantasy tropes. I hope that you enjoyed them. These are just my opinions, and I would like to hear yours, because obviously there are many tropes. I made a gigantic list of things that I could think of and then tried to pick 10 from there. What are your favorite tropes? Do you agree that some of my favorites are pretty good, or do you think that they're kind of shit? Like, let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and then hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below if you haven't already. And I guess I will see you in the next video. All right, bye.